like in February, I'll have it, and when I hit the door, it comes off my head. Yeah, it goes to my mother, makes me hold doors for people and say yes, ma'am, and no, ma'am.
And I do the same.
I
I
know.
hold doors and I
And
say yes, sir.
hats come off.
I believe he's sitting next to me, Dr.
Okay.
Gabe.
All right. Thank you.
I'm Mickey though. Yeah, you're Dr. Gabe and I'm not Dr. Gabe.
I've not met him. I know who he
My
is.
name.
So Gabe is a pal. Gabe, this is a Texas boy, so you need to watch out for
Oh,
him.
not another one.
Yeah, and Rob.
Two of us
He runs
together.
Make Way for Books.
And
No,
Excuse me,
Make-A-Wish.
Make-A-Wish. Make-A-Wish Foundation. I just introduced him to Love It. Good.
Oh, okay. Cool. We do, and I think Carla's trying to get you to come. Yeah. Because you know. Anyway, I could.
You better do. You
We can
better
do that.
invite me.
Invite you.
We could sit it. Urban's too cool to be there.
I'm out of town.
You're out of town.
Yeah,
I know.
I'm in Montana right now.
I'll shoot you. It's November 2nd, Westward Look.
Gabe,
think we did
we are
talk
looking
about
forward to hearing you today.
Yeah.
And I'm up here, you know, it's my
It's-
birthday,
it's,
so
it's
during the
an
month of
old
October, I can pick like any month, any Wednesday I want,
education
and look at the schedule, and I said,
hour.
how Gabe's gonna be there? Why would I not? Even though I'm over here, why would I not have a chance to have a better front row
I've already
seat?
got
There you go.
before
Thank
walking in.
Enjoy your lunch.
$50,000 in cash and pledges already,
Oh,
and it's
fabulous.
2 weeks out. So no, you've got two people that I really admire working with you.
Hang on. Oh, got
One's
another minute or
Carla
two.
Escamilla, and I don't know whether he'll come today, but my best friend and fellow Rotarian in town is Paul Hallams,
Oh.
Joe's father, and I love Joe, and I'm so glad to have them back in Tucson.
Joe's journey brought him back here.
Yeah,
Joe
it
was
did.
He was Phoenix Police Department for
And then he was in Bend, Oregon, and then he came back. And I know you're keeping him busy, but I know he's the right guy.
Joe is right.
He's the right guy for what you need for security. Yeah.
He's great. He's been great. So.
I'm delighted to have
Very
you
good.
here today.
Yeah. It's my first time addressing. I think this is the oldest of the Rotary groups.
It is.
Oldest and biggest.
And we're the biggest in the state.
There we are. The business conference. Yeah, we're the biggest. We're the 40,
Dr. Trio, it's very nice to meet you.
we're the 42nd in the nation, big wise, and 67th internationally, big wise, out of 37,000 clubs.
I'm gonna eat mine.
You got it? I mean, if you're going to get involved with anybody, yeah, if you don't have a name tag, you're not up here. I've got to ring the bell now. Enjoy your lunch and the fellowship. Chat nicely with all your very good friends near to you. We'll be back in about 15 minutes.
Get your raffle tickets. Last chance for raffle tickets.
Here's the agenda as it stands. So this is the announcement section. We've got Jeannie, car show update, and we've got Jeannie Ryler. So would it fit in
I'm
there?
dying. There are so many people who have stripped away people from my ability to take money. That's why I was like, do we have to have
Yeah, I know.
shifts that take into everything else for commissions? I did, and he said, oh, it's Margaret's call.
If it's my call.
Your dress is in your envelope. Just that. So,
So it's my call to do what? To pull people from him to you?
well, no,
Yeah.
that was months ago.
Okay.
It was a month and a half ago
Right.
when he decided that that was going to happen.
Right.
And now it's too late.
Yeah, okay.
But if I can make one more begging.
Absolutely. Round about the Jeannie, Lee, and you
Okay,
time.
Lee doesn't know that he's on, so I'll tell him that
Okay.
he's on there.
Okay. Or if he doesn't know he's on, it could be you and
Okay.
Jeannie and you.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
Thank
fine.
you.
Yeah, no worries. Anytime. Yeah, point the machine in that direction.
Huh?
Point the clicker in that direction. Yes, I saw his name. Sure. Oh, I've got another 10 seconds. Oh. I'm commanding your attention, everybody. It's time to start the meeting. How come you're not all being so very, very quiet when I demand it? Do you like the glasses? Okay, all right, fine. I'll be auctioning them off at the end of the day. Prior to that, though, as you know, while we're waiting for Far to come up and give us a pledge and song, I'm going to give you the latest jokes. Now, this is one from your very own. What is a ghost's favorite drink? Blueberry sounds good. Anything with booze in it or Kool-Aid. However, more seriously, I've done lots of literary jokes, but did you hear about the mathematician who's afraid of negative numbers? She will stop at nothing to avoid them. Yay! Good on you. Far, far. Pledge and song. Where's Far? Oh, there you are. Sorry, missed you.
Pledge of Allegiance. Today's song is My Country 'Tis Of Thee. And now we have the inspiration from Mitch Pizik. Mitch has been with us since March 2021, and he's with Pizik Consulting Group, and he was from the University of Illinois.
So before I jump into the inspiration, I'm going to have a shout out to three people: Thomas Gomez, David Rieger, and Lynn Davis. You'll see them later. I wanted you all to know that we're very selective here in who we invite to our lunches as prospective members. We hope you like what you see and are inspired to join us. We're not here to be average. We're here to be awesome. I'm so proud of us. You're so proud of us. People who really know us are so proud of us. We're one of the largest not-for-profits in the Southwest United States, and we're going to grow even bigger. Now, why do we want to grow bigger? Impact. Because we owe it to our community. We have a dozen service projects which have a huge impact on all facets of our community. And we raise hundreds of thousands of dollars, which has a huge impact for those in need. Because we owe it to ourselves. We have so many of our friends here, and we'll have the opportunity to make even more friends, and this has a huge impact on our social life because we owe it to our friends, family, and colleagues by inviting them to our lunches, our parties, our fellowship events, whiskey, hiking, cycling, wine, book clubs. You'll get to see who we are, what we do, and how we do it. And they deserve the opportunity to join in our fun and hugely impactful activities. What we do with panache, purpose, and pride. Nobody does as much as we do with such enthusiasm and success. That's impact. You know how they say that if something seems too good to be true, it is? Well, that's usually true, but not always. What I just described might seem too good to be true, but it's true. All of it. It truly is. We really are that awesome. In life, there are 3 C's: choices, chances, and changes. You must make a choice to take a chance, or life will never change. Joining Rotary, being active in Rotary, inviting others to join Rotary changes lives for the better. People are empowered not by what they believe is true, they're empowered by what they believe is possible. The more people that we each encourage to join us, the more wonderful is everyone's future. It really is possible to have this much beautiful impact on all our philanthropic, social, and even business lives. Beautiful, awesome impact.
And just before Dan starts to introduce all the guests, I really want to make a big fuss of the Boy Scouts who are here with popcorn and what look like other delights to sell to us. What is that? A bag of salad? Oh, popcorn. Okay, fine. Yeah, right. What do I know? Anyway, thank you very, very much for being here and for selling things to us.
Although I think in England it's poppycorn. I could be wrong.
Oh, you could be very wrong.
I could be wrong. So it's good to be back. I just got back from a couple-week trip with my wife. We go to a concert every year, and I'll give you the Jim Woods joke of the day from this concert that I went to. This is in honor of Jim. What do you call a cow with no legs? Ground beef. That's it. There you go. All right. So, yeah, 2 legs is lean beef, according to Rob. Happy birthday, Rob. All right, so if you're a guest, we appreciate you being here today, and I would like you to stand so we can recognize you. And if you would like to consider being a member, talk to one of us. We'd love to have you. As you heard Mitch say, we're a wonderful club, and I think you should join. All right, so the first guest is a Rotarian from England, the Reverend Jim Needham. Welcome, Jim. All right, guest of Steve Pickering, Thomas Gomez. Guest of Don Rieger, Douglas Rieger. Guest of Diana Medeiros, Libby Lentz. Guest of Liuda Eisenman, Cassidy Oro Gast. Guest of Judy Kagi, Lynn Davis. Guest of Mr. Tom Strasburg, Bruce Burke. Guest of Jim Robians, all the Boy Scouts. Boy Scouts, stand up. All right, guest of Alan Schroep, Becca Rhodes. Guest of Alan Schroep, Megan Carpenter. Guest of Alan Schroep, Allison Martin. Guest of Joe Pennington, Mickey Pennington. And guest of Mitch Piesick, Peter Paisley. And that is our guest list of the day, and thank you all for being here.
And now I want to make a comment, a warm, wonderful comment about Camp Bow Wow and introduce Alan Schroep. Alan, if you'd like to stand up. Hold on. Okay, good. All right. totally irrelevant to Alan Schroep, but I'll keep it in mind. All right. Alan's been a long-time Rotarian. He was with us for quite a few years. Then he went off to Purdue, somewhere like that. And then he decided that he really should come back and join us again. And in conversation, he did say that Rotary was a big draw for him coming back. So I was absolutely delighted to hear that and to see him when he came back. Would you like to say a few words about Camp Bow Wow, Alan? Get a microphone. Run, 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 down, run, run.
Yeah, so if you don't know, I was a member of this club from 2007 to 2013, and then got the phone call from Purdue University. They wanted me to come back and be the hospital administrator for the veterinary hospital there, which was a huge opportunity, over 200 staff members and a $20 million budget, so we couldn't turn it down to go back to Indiana until about 6 winters went by, and then
we know who that is.
We took an RV trip through the desert Southwest, and it hit my wife and I, and we said we've got to get back to Arizona. About that time, we were starting into COVID, and Bob Logan was president at the time of the Rotary Club. Facebook Lives came up, and I kept seeing this Rotary Club, and my heart was just pulled towards it. And I said, we've got to get back to Tucson. We've got to get back to this Rotary Club. And so we ended up coming here to bring Camp Bow Wow to Tucson. And when Margaret approached me and said, hey, you should sponsor a meeting, and it's a great way to get the name out about Camp Bow Wow, and it's a real big help to the club, I said, that's what we're all about, so here we are.
Okay, what is Camp Bow Wow? Camp Bow Wow is a
doggy daycare and boarding facility, yes. I have a couple staff members here to speak about it. Is now the time to do that? No.
Probably not time right now, but they will be here at the end of the meeting to answer questions.
All right.
And once again, Alan, I mean, this is absolutely fabulous for you to sponsor this whole meeting. 100 and odd people now know about Camp Bow Wow, and thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Cheers. Dorina speaks. We do have time on the agenda right now? Okay, terrific. Speak. Wonderful, thank you very much. Thanks, Dorina. You got a PowerPoint? Do you need the clicker?
Yeah, I'll get you the clicker.
Okay, great. I will come stand over here. Cool. Awesome. Thank you so much. Great. Okay, perfect. Hello, everyone. Thank you. Hi, I'm Becca. I am the regional manager over the 2 Camp Bow Wows here in Tucson, owned by Mr. Alan Schroep. Thank you so much for having us today. Oh, I'm getting my picture taken. All right. Just I'm going to take a few moments to talk about Camp Bow Wow. I like to start out with a fun fact. So Merrick Pet Care did a survey of 1,000 people, and they asked them one simple question: who's the favorite member of your family? 70% said the family dog. How many of you are in that 70%? Because I know I am. So with that in mind, we know that dogs are like family nowadays, and we take on that responsibility of finding a safe, clean, and fun environment for them to take care of. So we're going to talk about a couple of our services today. Oops, went too fast. There we go. What is Camp Bow Wow? So we are the largest franchise of doggy daycare and boarding facilities all over the United States. There's about 210 locations. There's even 2 in Canada. We have fun and safe playgroup environment. We have spacious indoor and outdoor yards. We have live online webcams, which you'll see here. It's super fun. You can spy on your dog while you're at work or on vacation. All of our staff are pet first aid and CPR certified. We have all-inclusive pricing to make it nice and easy. We have cozy cabins with comfy cots. We give them lots of TLC. And as I mentioned, we have over 200 locations. And there's some of our campers there. All the dogs are called campers. So just going to touch on a couple of our services. So we have doggy daycare, boarding, enrichment, and grooming. So for doggy daycare, as I mentioned before, we have indoor and outdoor yards. Each of our yards are never unsupervised, so we have those certified camp counselors watching them, making sure everyone's getting along, giving them lots of love. Our dogs are separated by size, so we keep our bigs and littles separated for their safety. The counselors are trained in dog behavior and reading dog body language. and the dogs get to play in a fun, safe, and clean environment. For boarding, we have all-inclusive pricing. So we just charge per night, and daycare is included in that. So it's in the boarders' daily schedule to be let out into those yards and play with their friends for the day. It does include medication administration, feeding your food or our food at no cost, and we also have some additives that we can have in there if we have any stubborn eaters. We have all-day drop-off and pickup hours, so it's at your convenience. We've got those cozy cabins with the comfy cot, as you can see there, and we have those live webcams, which should be... Do I press next again to make it play? Oh, I think he'll make it play. So this is a... Oh, this is a snapshot of our cameras, so you can kind of see the top row there are our small guys, the bottom row there are our big guys. So these are what you have access to view while you're on the go. You can view it from our app or on our website. So I'm going to pass it over to Miss Megan. She's all things marketing and fun for Camp Bow Wow.
Thank you. So hi, my name's Megan. I'm the regional scout at Camp Bow Wow. I am in charge of enrichments. So what is an enrichment? An enrichment is a one-on-one time with a counselor and a camper. It's dedicated 15 minutes of nonstop just love and attention for your pup alone. These enrichments are in place to help enrich your dog's experience and make it that much better for you and your pup. And it's customizable to what your pup needs. If your pup likes interaction with people, love belly rubs, kisses, we're right there with you with snuggle time. We've got play pals for your dog that loves fetch, cannot live without their toys. And then sniff and seek are for your dogs that love treats, brain games, anything like that. If they need more than physical stimulation, we've got that mental stimulation. As for our enrichments, every month we come up with extra themed enrichments based off of that month. So this month we have our Spooky Halloween October calendar. We also do special art projects, Water Park Wednesday, agility course, and so much more. We just love to spoil our campers and make it that much more fun for our campers and for you. All right, and then also, last but not least, we offer grooming, full service grooming. Anything from nail trims, teeth brushing, anything that you can think of, we've got your back. Just imagine dropping off a dirty, overly excited puppy, having a long day at work, and bringing home a nice, clean, tired out pup. If this is the life that you want for you and your pup, feel free to come talk to us at that table right over there. I'd be happy to answer any questions you guys have. Thank you so much for your time.
I see on the slide it says questions. Any questions for Camp Bow Wow? I do have one. But
We are located on Broadway and Oracle.
Sorry,
Broadway.
correction. So we have two locations. Tucson East is at Broadway and Pantano. The Tucson location, which has been here for about 13 years, Alan bought that in December. That one is way up in Oracle. So Oracle and Eagle Crest. If you're on Oracle and Ina, keep driving up Oracle for about 20 more minutes and you'll see it.
are there any questions for Alan? There's one at the very back. Dan, sorry. Oh, phone number. Phone number. Brochures on.
Yeah, we do have brochures. Anybody pick those up in the back. But the phone number for Tucson East is 520-655-3647, which spells out dogs.
I have a question, and that is, you mentioned agility classes and grooming. I was just wondering if you could perhaps bring them here so we could have some agility classes.
Margaret, we all agreed to do a GoFundMe and see if we could get Mitch at one of those cozy cabins.
Oh, yay. Good job. Love it. No, seriously, I thank you so much for bringing this to our attention, to supporting our luncheon, and to having 100 and odd people learn about you. I mean, it's really good. Thank you. And thank you for coming. And being such cheerful speakers, too. Good job. Yeah. It's particularly rewarding to me to hear that one of the draws for Alan to come back to Tucson was Rotary. it really is important, and makes me feel very weepy when I hear that people want to do that for us. He's a marvellous member. Thank you. Fabulous. And now we have Tom Strasbourg, who's going to introduce our program. Now, Tom has been here with us since 2000. And if you'd like to come to the podium. Longer than that?
Good afternoon. I'm going to keep this short so we have more time for our speaker to answer questions. It's an honor for me to introduce you to Dr. Gabriel Trujillo, who has been the superintendent of Tucson Unified School District for the past 6 years, since 2017. Can you hear me all right? He and his team are responsible for more than 40,000 students and 89 facilities and programs. It's the third largest school district in Arizona, and over the past 25 years, he has served as a classroom teacher, an assistant principal, human resources director, and an assistant superintendent. Under his leadership, the district was able to gain full and unconditional release from the court-supervised desegregation order that so many of us are aware of, and which cost the district many millions of dollars over the 48-year period it was in force. The district has also achieved remarkable academic progress. In the 2021-2022 academic year, over 40% of the schools improved their letter grades as evaluated by the Arizona Department of Education. Dr. Trujillo was also a passionate supporter of the arts and music education, and while also showing the same passion for the career and technical education, which has seen an enrollment jump to 7,000 students in the last few years. New programs such as dental assistance training and diesel engine repair have been established, as well as the establishment of the district's first CTE high school, known as Innovation Tech. Dr. Trujillo has been honored for his accomplishments. In 2018, he was named the Superintendent of the Year by the Arizona Music Association, and in 2022, he was named Superintendent of the Year by the Arizona Association of Latino Administrators. He serves as a board member of the Arizona Business Education Coalition, the Southern Arizona chapter of the American Heart Association, and Tucson Values Teachers. Please join me in giving a warm Rotary welcome to Dr. Gabriel Trujillo.
Well, can everybody hear me okay? Well, first I want to thank you for welcoming me here to your luncheon. It's always a wonderful privilege to address Rotarians. This is my third Rotary group, and this one's the largest and one of the oldest, not only here in Arizona, but in the United States. So thank you for welcoming me here. And before I start to talk about the Tucson Unified School District and the tremendous privilege it is to serve the city, the region, and most importantly, our families and our students, why does public education matter? Why do people get so passionate about it? Whether you're a public education advocate or you're not, or you have concerns about public schools, or you support the public schools, people have such strong passions, and they're very, very passionate about not just public education in general, but their neighborhood school down the street. And really it's because one thing that became obvious to me, and the reason why these passions are so evident, is something that I saw the first day that I even entered an educational environment, way back as a substitute teacher, before I became a permanent teacher in the Peoria Unified School District. Listen, for all of its warts, all of its challenges, all of its funding challenges, all of the political challenges, all of the challenges with facilities and teacher shortages and labor shortages, in this great democracy, in this world, it is the public school that is the last greatest hope for changing the life of a child, for unleashing the power of our democracy, for unleashing the power of literacy, for unleashing the power of civic engagement, community, all of that resides inside of the public school. And so I just wanted that as a backdrop as to just the why public education matters so much, even for the critics, even for the folks that in my own universe that come to call to the audience and have very, very serious critiques and sometimes said in a very strong way. I look upon those individuals as passionate advocates for public education because they are passionate and aware of its importance. So in the Tucson Unified School District, we understand this and we take this very seriously for each and every single one of the 40,000 students that we serve. And who we are, as you heard in the introduction, 40,000 students, around 40,000 students. We're a K-12 system. We operate 89 campuses and programs across 230 square miles. Something that people don't always know about us is that actually almost 40% of our schools are A or B rated. And I know sometimes people say, well, it's a failing school district. And well, what we are is we're a large urban school district that has a section of schools that are struggling for a myriad of reasons. But 80% of our schools are just absolutely amazing. They're A or B rated. You've got 35%, almost 40% of our schools alone are A rated. And then you've got 90% of the entire district that's A, B, or C rated, according to the Arizona Department of Education. We also are home to one of the largest, this will give you an idea of our academic diversity, not just our ethnic diversity, but we're home to one of the largest populations for gifted and talented education in the state, while simultaneously being home to one of the largest populations for students with disabilities, to also being home to one of the largest career and technical education programs in the state of Arizona. So we have a tremendous gift of academic diversity, from the advanced learning that goes on in AP courses to the career and technical education programs we heard about from Tom, to being home to one of the largest populations of students with disabilities, exceptional education or special education. So that's why Tucson Unified School District is such an important institution in the Tucson community and in Pima County. And what I'm here to talk about today is a new vision for our district, a vision that has been brought on by two great opportunities that we've experienced in the last couple of years. Number one is the pandemic. Now, how is the pandemic an opportunity? The pandemic was very problematic, okay? It was very problematic for me, for our principals, for our teachers, our parents, and our community. But what was born of the pandemic were opportunities to do things differently based off of what we learned about how students learn, how people collaborate, how people share information, and most importantly, what our parents expect from public schools. And the other opportunity that we have is what Tom mentioned, freedom, a return to local governance that the city of Tucson and the Tucson Unified School District had not experienced in 48 years. With the desegregation court order coming to an end, a district that is now under the full governance of the locally elected officials that sit on our governing board. That presents tremendous opportunities to innovate, create, and to be a leader in K-12 education in a lot of areas where we couldn't, simply because of a court order and all of the restrictions on what we were supposed to do and how we had to do it. And these challenges are these opportunities are very, very important because they feed into a new vision for the Tucson Unified School District, a vision that I'm going to challenge all of you to join me in. The vision first starts with creating a learning environment that's reflective of 21st century education, of a 21st century skill set that our students are being asked to exemplify, being asked to be proficient in, that's never been asked of any student before their generation. These students now will go into jobs that don't even exist yet. If you would have asked me back in 1997 when I started teaching that I had to prepare students to be social media influencers, I would have said, "What's social media?" And I'm supposed to be the influencer here as the teacher. So we are aware that we're creating a new workforce for a new generation that will step into jobs that don't even exist yet. And what we do know about students, this generation of students, they learn in whole new ways, ways that students that came before them have not. They have an intense need to create their own content, to create ideas. They have an intense need to connect with one another and the community around them. And they have an intense need to collaborate. And we have a responsibility in the Tucson Unified School District in every single classroom to challenge these attributes through higher levels of critical thinking, collaborative instruction, a requirement that students demonstrate at the highest levels of critical thinking mastery of the content that we're trying to teach them. This is resulting in a revolution in terms of how students learn and how students teach going on in our district right now, with a brand new instructional framework that we're implementing in our schools that has less of a focus on teacher-directed information dissemination and more on a focus on student-to-student collaboration, higher levels of critical thinking, and direct engagement with the content that we're teaching students. It's a whole new way, with the teacher as the facilitator and as the student directly involved with their learning. And it's reflective of the 21st century skill set that they're going to be asked to exhibit. And this is going on in our classrooms all around the district, but it has its challenges. It's a challenge to deliver this type of instruction with this new framework in facilities that are from the 1950s and the 1940s that lack the adequate resources and tools and equipment that our students need. When you're trying to engage in this type of instruction and you're in a science classroom that doesn't have water lines or gas lines or lab tables, it's a problem. When you're trying to engage in this kind of instruction and you are relegated to a basement, and a basement that has problems with plumbing, and your classroom is flooding from time to time, that is a huge challenge. So this part of our vision, we are realizing it, but we also have an understanding that there are some very serious challenges with the way that we are now trying to deliver instruction throughout the Tucson Unified School District. Because this vision is important that we realize it, because we also understand that in the city of Tucson, we're stewards of a future workforce. We understand that. We're stewards of a future workforce, and it's our students that are going to graduate and come out into this local economy and become its engine. So we have a responsibility to acknowledge that the entirety of our student body is not a student body where 100% are all going to go the university track. We know that. We know that there are some students now that are asking very serious questions about, why wouldn't I go into diesel repair? Why can't I go become a welder at Cholla and graduate with my certificate and finish my apprenticeship and go to work for home builders and make $30 an hour? Why would I go and incur all this student debt at the university? We're starting to have kids ask us those questions. So we know now that we have a responsibility to build a robust school to work pipeline, and we've been able to accomplish that and will continue to accomplish that through the expansion of career and technical education programs. We also know that we do have a significant portion of our student body that wants to realize the dream of college and university, and we have that as well with one of the largest college-going populations in the state and our pipeline of advanced learning opportunities for students. But wherever a student is, whether they are a career and technical education going student or one of our advanced learning university going students, they are in a classroom where they're being challenged to think critically, to directly engage with the content that's in front of them, with the new skills and concepts that we're asking them to master. And most importantly, they're being placed in opportunities to collaborate. And that is something that this new generation of young people sometimes struggle with. How do I collaborate and come together and work with this person that thinks differently or holds a different opinion or thinks about things differently than I do? We're taking that on in our classroom. It's part of our new vision. And the second aspect of this vision, stronger and safer classrooms. All this 21st century focused instruction cannot take place if there's not order, safety, security, and teacher authority in the classroom. For far too long, under this court order, the Tucson Unified School District was forced to implement wildly permissive disciplinary policies that left our teachers frustrated and sometimes had our building leaders and our principals feeling that circumstances and situations were beyond their control. Where the primary focus sometimes in classrooms became keeping order, sometimes became making sure that students were behaving, and that took predominance over the actual teaching and learning that should have happened. I'm proud to say that the first thing that we did when we were released from court supervision, we adopted sweeping new changes for student discipline across the district that feature stronger and more immediate consequences for classroom level disruptions, stronger and more immediate consequences for campus level disruptions, and of course, more authority for principals and teachers to exact consequences and hold students accountable for their decision making. To me, that's very important to realize the first part of our vision, because students can't learn and they can't thrive in an environment that's not safe, that's not orderly, and where learning isn't the primary focus of the work that's being done at the school. So we're very proud that we were able to approve, our governing board, a brand new student code of conduct. And this is very important for the third part of our vision. The third part of our vision is to once again become the preeminent choice for K-12 education in Pima County and in the city of Tucson. And we realize that we have to offer cutting-edge, innovative 21st century instruction, doing that now. We have to create safe, orderly, and secure working environments that parents and students can feel confident in. We're doing that now. And the third way that we do that is we have to win back the parents' and the public's trust. And what we need to do with that, number one, with the public, we have to do what we say we're going to do in every aspect of school governance, whether it's financial, whether it's curricular, whether it's operational. We have to operate with 100% transparency and always do what we commit to saying that we're going to do with policies and with practices. That's very, very important. And with our parents, we have to stay focused on not violating what I call the sacred pact between a parent and the classroom teacher. And what that pact requires, it requires both partners in the educational process to honor the provisions of their pact. The first pact, the first part of the pact, is for the parent. I'm going to be involved with my child's education. I'm going to hold my child accountable for behavior in the classroom. I'm going to support you, teacher. I'm going to communicate frequently regarding the progress of my child. I'm going to help you at home with what you need for better outcomes in the classroom. But what our parents ask of our teachers on the other side of that pact is don't undercut and don't contradict the messaging, the moral beliefs that I'm teaching my kids at home. The values and the beliefs that I am teaching my kids at home should be respected. And that is something we realize that is not just a strained pact in the Tucson Unified School District, but it's going on across the state and it's going on across the country with regard to parents questioning what's going on in public schools, and with regard to parent skepticism about public schools. We don't want to get involved in that argument. But what we do know about public schools and what we know about our role as a Tucson Unified School District is, as a public school, we are a secular institution, non-religiously, non-politically affiliated, and we have to honor that. And we have to make sure that in our classrooms that is what we are honoring by teaching the district's curriculum, sticking to state standards, and making sure that our students are equipped with the skills that they need to navigate a 21st century economy, to be civically engaged, to participate civically, and to understand civil discourse when you encounter somebody with beliefs, attitudes, and opinions that differ from your own. This is probably one of the most difficult challenges that we have, given the times, the skepticism of parents coming out of COVID and a lot of the decisions that were made across the state and across the country with regard to COVID, the new focus on what's being taught in public schools. We have to build partnerships with parents. We have to bring them into our schools. We have to give them decision-making opportunities through some of the structures that we have, like school site councils, principal advisory committees, district advisory committees, and we need to get them involved in a lot of the bigger picture policy making so they can see that they do have a voice, especially for some of the areas of district operations that hit closest to home, like bus routes, deciding on new bus routes, like school uniforms or school dress codes, or of course the review of curricular materials, whether they're primary curricular materials or whether they're supplementary. We know that we can't realize the full vision of the Tucson Unified School District being a preeminent choice for K-12 education in the state of Arizona, here in the region, with cutting-edge, innovative 21st century instruction and safe and strong schools, if we don't win the parental and the public trust. And that is something that we're going to be committed to doing each and every single day, especially coming out of this pandemic that brought us opportunities. It brought us opportunities to see where parents were not happy with the way some of our schools were serving their kids in the community. And it also showed us some opportunities on what was working in terms of staff collaboration and parental collaboration. We learned that parents don't always have to be at school in person to participate. Now parents with busy work schedules can get on Zoom and they can talk to teachers. That's a great thing. But then we also learned that Zoom online instruction doesn't work for kids. So we had simultaneous messaging going on. So there were some opportunities that we learned with regard to communication and collaboration that didn't necessarily extend to daily instruction. And with court supervision being over, we now have the full autonomy to innovate, to inspire, to create, to dream big, to go big, so that we can be competitive in this open enrollment environment. We want to be schools of choice. We don't want to be the traditional public school district that your child is assigned to. We want to be a school that parents choose to send their kids. We want to be a district and a local school and a school feeder pattern where parents choose to send their kids. We welcome the open enrollment challenge. It was always tough under court supervision because you couldn't ever open a new program or a school or close a school or adjust grade level bands in a school without the signature of a federal judge. And that is no way to compete in the open enrollment environment where you have smaller, faster, more nimble charters and private schools moving all around you. So I will say the full power of our innovation and the full power of our creativity and the full power of our capacity to create and be leaders, we're awakened now. And we've been awake since July 2022 when that court order ended. So continue looking for great things, looking for excellence, looking for innovation from our school district. And with that, I'll open it up to questions.
I got a question right here. Margaret.
First question over there, and then we have questions over here as well.
All right. Superintendent Trujillo, my name's Chris, but he knows me already. I've worked in the district for 25 plus years, and he was the superintendent towards the end of my tenure, and we were super privileged to have you as a leader in our district, and so I thank you for that. I wanted to comment on the competitive nature that you talked about and facilities. I know whenever something comes across my purview, maybe in a yellow or green envelope, I always support education the best way I possibly can. And you talked about facilities, and I know as a former teacher that they get in the way. And can you speak to how can you stay competitive when you have older facilities? We have a lot of developers here, and I think we all know that it sometimes costs twice as much to renovate an older property as opposed to building something new. How do you battle that, and how do you stay competitive when you're dealing with the older facilities?
That's a great question. But before going any further, Chris Dodge is underselling himself. He wasn't just a teacher. He was the creator and the facilitator of one of the most iconic performance arts programs that we have to this day, the Tucson High Steel Drum Band, known as Joe Verde. Absolutely amazing. But to get back to his question, that's literally the biggest challenge that we face, is being able to provide our teachers with the adequate facilities they need to thrive and exceed. Unfortunately, right now, we're in a situation where the state legislature, if you go back all the way to 2012, capital funding for schools has just been an area where the legislature has chosen to make cuts. And that's resulted in $160 million fewer dollars available for TUSD since 2012 to deal with books, buses, and buildings, which are our biggest expenditures. And it results in amazing innovators like Mr. Dodge working in facilities that are less than adequate. So how do we continue to compete? We compete through the sheer force of student performance. Parents seeing the students perform at high levels in these programs keeps pipelines of new kids interested coming in. And then we also have to rely on a lot of grant funding sources to be able to take care of some of the facilities needs that are more pressing. Thank you.
Could you expand on what you touched on briefly, which was the positives and negatives of the voucher program and charter schools?
So first of all, the voucher program, which we're just going off of, this is public information. This isn't even my opinion. This is like, as the wall is white, I'm going to tell you that in TUSD, we have just about 800 students, like 792 students that reside in TUSD's boundaries that are accepting vouchers through the ESA program. But here's the thing. They've never stepped foot in our schools. They just live in our boundaries. They've always gone to private schools. When you look at the amount of students that actually are fully enrolled Tucson Unified students that actually left a Tucson Unified school to go to a private, it's less than 15. So the overwhelming majority in TUSD are students that never went to our schools. They've always been in a private. They're just taking the ESA dollars and they're using them to pay down part of the tuition. So we haven't seen, now that's a good thing for us because we haven't seen the exodus that everybody was thinking would happen. There's never been an exodus. It's only the existing private school going kids in our boundaries that have accepted the ESAs and are using it to pay down tuition. Now, what ESAs do is they bring what I welcome is an opportunity of continuous improvement. We have to do better, be better, so that we are the preeminent choice. So anything that puts pressure on the public school to not recede into mediocrity or recede into the attitude that we're just here at the end of the neighborhood street and the kids are just going to come to us and we're the parents' only option, I'm actually for that. What I'm not for is the inequities inherent with ESAs right now in terms of how that program is being administrated with such a lack of accountability.
Last question.
Dr. Trujillo, thank you so much. Regarding the implementation of your extraordinary vision, what are your thoughts about how it might benefit from passage of the ballot proposition?
Well, Proposition 496 is the ballot initiative that will be providing much needed funding for Tucson Unified School District facilities. And there are three main thrusts of Proposition 496. Number one, aiming those dollars at safety and security. We don't want any Tucson Unified School to be anywhere close to becoming the next Uvalde or the next Sandy Hook. We are going to be investing the dollars in better fencing, better gating, state-of-the-art alarms and cameras to try to make our schools as close to difficult of targets as possible. Now, what we need to know about the traditional public school, not just here in TUSD, but throughout Pima County, they're of a different age. Our school buildings are from, the average age is like 1955. But public schools were created to be open spaces for the community. So it's going to cost us millions of dollars to come back and to make them a little bit of harder target to be able to get in. The second major thrust is going to be the biggest thrust, which is facilities upgrades. Dealing with the roofing, the plumbing, the electrical, the flooring issues at a lot of our schools, going ground up facilities in places that for far too long have been overcrowded, like at RUHS. Part of this package will now see a ground up building, classroom building, go up on the campus so we can finally get those UHS kids out of the basement. A new ground up facility over there at Fruchtendler. We know that that place is overcrowding. New spatial capacity over at Sam Hughes. So it's also for innovative learning spaces. Aside from facilities upgrades, and innovative learning spaces is what I talked about in my discussion. We're going in and retrofitting classrooms with lab tables and gas lines and increased internet capability and Wi-Fi connectivity so that our students can compete. And the other major thrust, of course, is transportation and updating this very, very old fleet of buses that travels thousands of miles a day. We have 13,000 students that opt in for transportation services. So busing is also going to be a big thrust of Proposition 496.
I must admit that while I was listening to Dr. Trujillo, I kept thinking, how can Rotary help? I mean, I don't know. These are just sort of thoughts that come through my head and think we must in some way. And also, if I can fantasize, I mean, Camp Bow Wow is now a known entity. People love their dogs, and people coming through school are going to need careers that are not necessarily university careers, and they want to go into maybe pet management and housing. So all these connections can perhaps be made between entities such as yours or DOTS DKA and the schools. I mean, there's so much that can be done, so many connections that can be made. And I seriously hope that in one way or another, Rotary can help. Now, don't go away yet. All right. So for those of you that don't know, we do give a book which goes into the Make Way for Books, and we'll have it signed by the speaker. This one is called Turkey Goes to School. And we're going to ask Dr. Trujillo to sign it. And as a matter of interest, Make Way for Books, the president of that organization is our very own David at the back there. So there we go.
All right.
We look forward to that. Yeah, very inspiring talk, and sobering, if I might say, very sobering when we recognise the age of the facilities and what's needed. And thanks, David Lovett, for working on literacy in our community. It all helps the schools. We're now going to happy birthdays. We have 3. We have Don Riga, who was born on October the 17th, and I won't say the year. Well, actually, I don't even know it, so I can. He's been with us. Oh, you did? He's been with us since September 2022, and he's retired a CPA, and he was with ASU. Be cautious, you know, right? Something you don't know about him is that the first car he purchased in the 70s was a 1963 Chevy Super Sport. I do hope you've got it on.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I love birthdays. I arrived and I got my Rotary delivered from Diana. Thank you for a sort of gift. And then, of course, I'm taking home a gift from the Boy Scouts. I can't think of any better way to celebrate my birthday or is to give a gift. And so support scouting, and the guys will be around here after the event. Okay, I had a 63 Super Sport, but now, for those of you who remember, or old enough to remember, now you're going to hear a little bit of the rest of the story, which was I had limited means and ability at the time, so I paid $100 for the car. I had to buy a battery to get the thing to run. 3 weeks later, it blew up, and I was back hitchhiking. So, but that only makes me realize I have, with limited ability, and as we go into the car show, because that's our theme for the week, right, is I love the car show because that has cars and people who know how to take care of them and fix them. So I go there in awe of that, remembering that I didn't have access to diesel mechanics. Probably would have failed anyway at the time. So with that, so I'm celebrating. Do you celebrate birthdays at our age, or do we just kind of recognize them? Okay, we're going to celebrate. So I'm going to celebrate with a check to the Rotary Foundation, and also I'm auctioning off the wonderful raspberry desserts.
Let me hold it up for you.
Okay. Oh.
Okay.
Okay, we have an opening bid to 20. Do I hear 20? 20. Anybody get him 20? 20, 20. Who's got 20? 20 in back. Okay, 20. Anybody 20? How about 25? 25. Anybody for 25? 25, 25, 25. 25 over here. Anybody for 30? 30, 30. Anybody got 30 for this lovely raspberry with chocolate icing? Do I hear 40? 40? Do I hear 40? Come on, Chris. More miles, man. Sold for $35. So another $35 for the foundation.
He's an expert, we can tell. and then we have Rob Lemaster, who was October the 20th, and he's been with us since 2016. Community and Social Services, Make-A-Wish Foundation, and Texas Tech University. When he was 9 years old, he was the only NCAA football game ever to be cancelled because of, no, not because he was there, but because of a tornado. It was 1966 Texas Tech versus Kansas in Lubbock, Texas. Yay.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Margaret. And Don, my first car was a 1963 Mercury Comet Caliente, two-door coupe. Not nearly as cool as it sounds. I got it from my brother-in-law, and I said, what is this hole on the passenger side floorboard? And he says, you'll find out. Well, as Dallas, Texas gets a little humid, it had a add-on air conditioner that the condensation, if it wasn't for that hole, the passenger side floorboard would have flooded. So that's my car story. We could go on, but we won't. I am happy to celebrate another birthday in the club, and I'm especially thrilled that the club decided to hold a special chicken dinner on Friday in recognition of the 37th anniversary of my 29th birthday. And I am up here. I'm also very pleased to share the dais with my fellow Texan Mark. And you need to remember, you can always tell a Texan, but you can't tell us much. And I'm going to get off. I've got a check for the scholarship fund. Oh, and one more, since we're doing really bad dad jokes today. Do you know how you catch a unique rabbit? Unique up on it. Exactly. Thanks.
How do you catch a tame one?
Same way.
I believe Lubbock is famous for Buddy Holly, is that right?
Yes.
All right, fine, good.
Talk to Buddy every now and then.
Oh, he used to go and talk to Buddy Holly every now and then. That should have been in the What You Don't Know About Me.
There were some spirits in there.
Oh, wow. Mark Irvin, our prior president, wonderful man. Born on October 29th, and he's been with us since 2012. He's in real estate. Mark Irvin, Commercial Real Estate Services, and he was from Southern Methodist University. Now, this surprised me when I read it. He grew up riding horses, and is an accomplished rider. Can you imagine, the Texan hat and the horse, Okay. In fact, he went to a farrier's school. Who knows what a farrier's school is? Horseshoes. He learned how to shoe horses when he was in high school. Later, he was accepted and almost went to Texas A&M to study to become a veterinarian. In my first year, 2013, and second year, 2015, as a Los Charros rider, he won all 3 play day events both years. This was the first in the ride's 60-year history. Wow, you aren't half good.
So first off, I want to say thank you to Bill Acton. He's not with us any longer, but he and Larry Kent brought me into this club back in the 90s, early 90s. And then I stepped away for a number of years because of Rio Nuevo. And my pal David Levitt, who I share the distinction of being the only guy that brought him in the club, and he brought me in the club. So we're each other's sponsors. It's kind of fun. I've left a check for you for whatever you want to use it for. Having been at this home before, I know it's always nice to have some presidential discretionary dollars. Gabe, it's so good to see you. Like Chris, I consider Dr. Trujillo a friend, and I've had a chance to do a lot of stuff with him over the years, and I'm looking forward to doing more. Margaret, thank you.
Thank you very, very much, Mark. Now, if I can just have one other second for car stories. Not long ago, I heard of somebody who bought an SC430 without an engine in it, or at least a fried engine in it. And, he got a really great deal, but boy, did he have to work to make it work. But one day, the two of us are going to drive down. Speedway together next to each other and race. I didn't name any names, did I? And now we have the introduction of a new member, Bruce Tunzi. Come to the... Bruce, can we do it up here because we take photographs?
Sure.
Thank you. I've been slapped on the wrist before for having it done down there when we can't take photos. Good on you.
Thank you, President Margaret. It's my pleasure today to introduce to you Sean Tacey. I'm doing this for his sponsor, Steve Lingenbrink, which most of us know he's on leave, and we wish him well and hope to see him back here as soon as possible. Sean Tacey is a lawyer with experience in corporate finance. Oh, let me back up a minute. He's an Arizona boy. He grew up in Glendale, Prescott, and Tucson. So yes, he's a lawyer with experience in corporate finance, mergers, acquisitions, tech, real estate, financial technologies, just to name a few. He founded not only his law firm in 2004, but also a blues rock band that toured Washington State. And he got his U.S. soccer ED and C licenses to coach soccer, and he loves coaching kids. Oh, and that's not all. Okay, Sean founded and launched 2 internet software companies, one of which is still active and very successful with its mission. It's called Our Mayberry. Our Mayberry is an online platform where causes and businesses gather to create a unique marketplace where supporters can shop and generate a sustainable source of funding for the causes that they're passionate about, and where businesses can grow their customer base and gain community recognition and develop greater customer loyalty by supporting the causes that are important to their community. Our Mayberry is currently being utilized by Rotary districts in Washington State, and I'm confident that you'll hear more about it here in Arizona in the future. Now, a very surprising fact about Sean is his experience with COVID. I'm not going to detail that here, but I'd encourage you to ask him about it. It is an incredible story. And also, check out his high profile on Club Runner. It's one of the best I've seen. He would make Bob Schaff proud with that high profile. So I'd like to introduce to you Sean Tacey.
Thank you. Oh, very, very lovely. Thank you. I just have a few comments about this club. You know, I started out my Rotary career serving lunch to, not you guys, but back in the 80s and 90s, I served lunch to the Rotary group at Tucson Hilton East. And I set up the room, I set up the stage, I served them lunch, I listened to every meeting for 4 years while I was in college. And I was always mesmerized by just the gentleness and the welcoming spirit of you all as human beings. And to be able to join this club and to be received and, gosh, to just be welcomed the way you just did really touches my heart. But it was that imprint in my teens, enjoying the spirit of Rotary, that always drew me to you. And then when I learned ultimately it's service above self, I realized these are the human beings that I would like to spend the rest of my life working with. So thank you so much for welcoming me to the club.
And very briefly, this is also a Blue Badge presentation. Sean has, as his mentor, Sean has satisfied all the requirements for his Blue Badge, so I'm going to give that to him now.
Wow.
A twofer. Give me the red one back. Dorina wants the red one back.
Thank you. Good on you.
All right.
Marvelous. Lovely.
Time for the raffle. We have the pot over $1,400. Next week will be over $1,500 if we don't win. And the small pot this week is $96. In the interest of time, we picked a ticket in the back table. Dorina supervised, so you know it's straight up. Number is 498788. Right there. 498788. I'll be bringing you some money. And Tom, if I could get you to please pick a card. 2. Sorry. No winner on that. Now, on to recognition real quick. Jim? So the first person we'd like to recognize and fine, just to highlight the quality of the members in our crew, Miss Marcy Euler, who is our volunteer coordinator. And Marcy, if you'd stand. There is the face of philanthropy. I know. All right, thank you. And the next one, if you would go on. We didn't do a great job with Michael Wyman the first time we recognized him, but I would like to have Michael stand for a second. Michael is on Chris May's, the Attorney General's Business Advisory Council, and was recently named the Public Policy Leader of the Year by the Arizona Capital Times, the only one in Southern Arizona. So congratulations to Michael. So if you find a member out and about doing well and you see them reflected in some publication or something, please get it to my attention so I can find them and recognize them.
I think we actually have a box at the back somewhere which is specifically for recognitions. So now it's time for, if I'm correct, it's announcements. All right, so I'll make them brief and quick, but they're quite exciting. So remember you all gave books, donated books towards a book basket to go for a silent auction. I just want you to know that I hauled those books all the way down to the casino for the conference. I had to get a trolley to take them inside, they were so heavy. But out of all of the silent auction items, guess which item generated the most dollars for youth? You've got it in one, $260. I mean, isn't that fabulous? Thank you. Don't stop bringing the books, though, because I'm collecting them throughout the year so we can donate them to make way for the books. And or if they don't need them or want them, then we'll find another library to give them to. Don't stop bringing books. David would most appreciate it if we got a whole library this year from Rotary. So I had to tell about the silent auction. I want to remind you about the celebration of life for Pat Lennon. There he is. It's going to be October the 25th, if I'm correct. 26th at Vivace in the afternoon, but the details are all there. So those that knew Pat, and that's most of us, well, it would be marvelous if we could be there just to show that Rotary, we cared for Pat so deeply. And then the next announcement is so very exciting. I really can't tell you how exciting it is. But Gary Hirsch needs to stand up and be recognized for this. He really does. Because John Huco, the General Secretary and CEO of Rotary International, who is also a cyclist and has been cycling in El Tour for many years, and he's also Ukrainian or of origin, and helped to write the Ukrainian constitution. We've managed to snag him to come and speak here on November the 15th. We weren't going to have a meeting that day, but we are going to especially for him. It's a total coup. And Gary, thank you. And Dorina too, thank you for jumping through hoops to make it happen. As in, we didn't have the room, we now have the room. We might need a bigger room, we might get a bigger room. You've all got to sign up. But this is, Gary, thank you. It really is a coup. Thank you. November the 15th, and if you've ever seen him before speak either about Ukraine or about cycling, he's well worth it. So do remember to sign up, and you'll see we have cycling T-shirts, or cycling jerseys, I should say. And Alan, if he would stand up, I think he would demonstrate it. He'll model it.
All right, now please join me for the Rotary Club of Tucson Cycling Fellowship, November 4th and November 11th. That's those 2 Saturdays prior to the El Tour de Tucson. We're going to ride the Huckleberry Loop. So meet at St. Philip's Plaza on the south end, right next to the loop there, and that's where we'll start. Short ride or long ride. This will help you get trained up for the El Tour. I am suspicious that Secretary Huco is here because of the El Tour. to ride it.
Yes.
So we want to have a good turnout and support his efforts and to support our club. So I will see you there, 8 o'clock, St. Philip's.
Brilliant. Okay, Gary. Oh, yes, thank you very much. I'm sorry, I forgot entirely, but you please speak. Libby, stand up.
Here as a guest today.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you to PMI. That's absolutely marvelous. Yeah, thank you for supporting it. It's great. And we are going to open up that meeting to the whole district. This evening, I've got the president's meeting, and they will all know about this particular meeting that's happening. So PMI will get lots of exposure. Thank you. And that means sign up soon, because others will also be competing for the spots. Gary, thank you for reminding me. And now, more on the car show.
All right. So just a really quick update to let you know. We had a lot more come in today. That is not reflected in this number, but as of this morning, this number had gone up by another 385 of online that just showed up today. So we are at 47%. We've got in 15,194, not counting anything that showed up today. Those of you who have not paid for your tickets yet or dealt with them, you could still pay for them online through today. But after today, online shuts down. And after that, you'll have to deal with asking Dorina to charge them or having your friends buy them at the door, which is a possibility. If you want to start to flick through this, this is in red. Those people over the last 2 weeks that have upgraded to hitting the 40 to 99, those in red, I'm not going to read all their names because we're running short, but we had to have a whole page for the people that got to the 100 to 249. Thank you to all of you that moved up to that level, and we had one more hit the 250 to 999. And the next thing I think is just simply this is the Facebook, this is your last ditch. You could go out there and just tell people, buy today or get them at the door. You can share it, like it, comment on it, and I think the next thing, I don't think I have another one for that, but Marcy does have something to say about the car show, and I have one last thing to say about deadlines, or maybe I should just say it while I'm here. Just a second. Do you have the thing about the youth exchange up really quick? Okay, those are just 2 pictures of Cannon having a great time last week on fall break. But the next thing is what's really critical is that October 29th, which is before we meet again, the next slide. It's a time if people want to be a long-term exchange student to be sure that if you have sons, daughters, grandchildren, neighbors that might want to be an outgoing youth exchange student for 24-25, they have the 29th as their deadline. The other things I can bring back later. And then the next page also, on November 1st, we need to send in who we want to be our RILA people. And Nancy Stockton will be collecting applications. They're online at that spot. The flyers about that are at the front table. I didn't get time today for some reason to get them out to the tables for you to have them to pick up. So pick one up on the way out if you know of somebody in high school that might like to become a RILA participant, which is over Martin Luther King weekend. It's a leadership weekend. That's great. Now Marcy has a couple words.
I'll go fast. I promise I go fast. Okay, so how many of you got an email yesterday or today about the car show? Okay, those of you who didn't raise your hands, I'm talking to you, okay? So, no. So first of all, good news, slotting is full. Bad news. What I do last time, please, 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 I'm begging you, sign up to sell stuff, right? Admission tickets, parking sales, etc. We are still really short, and Mike Schulte, wherever he might be in here, has promised me he can't open that east lot if he doesn't have enough people to sell parking tickets. So, if you want me to not cry this weekend, please, 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 please sign up for parking lot duty, admission ticket sales. On the website, I think Jim is going to try and, you can't. Okay, so Diana Medeiros, who was sitting next to me, has the sheets on how to sign up. If you're a Rotarian, there's a QR code and there is a website link. I have my computer here, I have my phone, I can help anybody that needs help, but it is a critical need for our admissions and parking sales. A couple of quick things. Friday setup and cleanup on Saturday and Sunday. Rather than have lots of little jobs with small amounts of people, we've sort of collapsed all of that into one big group, and we'll disperse out from setup and cleanup. So tasks will be assigned when you arrive. You'll return to the volunteer table when you finish that task, and then you can go do something else. So we have sort of groups that will migrate around, little amoeba-like. And when you come to the volunteer check-in, you'll get a lanyard. I'm going as fast as I can. You'll get a lanyard that says you're a volunteer, and that is also entry to the show. So if you haven't registered, please do. I can help you sign up today, but volunteers close at noon tomorrow. Okay, our traffic escorts from our nonprofits should be full by noon tomorrow. So it's really the people taking money that we need help with. Thank you. I apologize for being long.
In theory, we have 2 Happy Jacksons. I'm just wondering, in a given time, would you be willing to put them off until another week? I mean, are you happy with that, Charlotte? You sure?
I cannot put mine off.
All right then, fine.
I cannot.
You can go.
So if you could really quick put up the, Chris Kim is the captain of the Salvation Army, and they're having their annual bell ringing kickoff party on November 10th at the Doubletree. It's a luncheon, and if you could please sign up or join, it's a really big thing for their organization.
Thank you very, very much. Okay. So now we've come to the end of our meeting, but I have to give great thanks to Camp Bow Wow. I mean, I thank you so very, very much for being you and for giving the service that you do in Tucson and Arizona. It's marvelous. I'd like to briefly ask if Don would be able to auction these, or shall I just donate them to somebody? Donate. Okay, fine. In the interest of time, if anybody would like to pick up one of these pairs of sunglasses, I have 2, perhaps for their grandchildren. Or for themselves to wear at the car show, please come and get them. So again, thank you, Camp Bow Wow, marvelous. Thank you, all of the guests here and the virtual guests for coming in one way or another, virtually or in person. If you'd like to donate to the scholarships, please do. The cups are on the table. Happy birthday to Don, to Rob, and to Mark. Welcome to the club, Sean. I know you were late, but you made it here, right? Yeah, sure. Good. And I hope to hear your music one day. Good luck. I'm not sure if that's the right word for the car show. I mean, luck isn't needed. You've done it all. It's going to be a great, great day. It really is. Thank you, everybody involved in this. Now, remember, next week, there is no meeting because of the car show. So we substitute Saturday for next Wednesday. And then on November the 1st, it's going to be a meeting which is focused on the service projects, and that's planned, organized, arranged marvelously by Diana Medeiros. So thank you very, very much. And it's now time to toast and adjourn.
If you want to see where we went wrong, you needn't look too far. For where we will be and where we've been is always where we are. And everything that comes our way is something you once gave. Somebody fills the water every time you make a wave.
The meeting is adjourned. Thank you all very, very much.
It's actually today. Yesterday, 17th, right. All right. Exactly. Well, and it was a good timing for me to, kind of pull it out. Yeah. Well, and he's a friend, and he reaches out to me about certain things. I'm ecstatically happy where I am, but there's certain things I would look at, but it just, my wife's got this, she is just timing not right, but I appreciate it.